My name is Corinne Henderson. I'm a master's student in the Department of Political Science, and my title is Tones and Topics: The Role of Gender and Race in the Media Coverage of Political Candidates. The news often appears objective, but there's more going on than meets the eye. Like any piece of writing, it is not immune to implicit social bias. Canadian scholars have contributed immensely to the study of this bias in the media coverage of women in politics and people of color in politics. But very little research to date has addressed how the media coverage of women of color differs from that of others. I examined both the gendered and racialized differences in the media coverage of Canadian political candidates in an aim to advance our knowledge on the role of bias in political news. This news is still relevant in Canada, as over 80% of Canadians read the news at least once a week. My central focus is on two aspects of media coverage. The first is the positive or negative tone of the context in which candidates' names appear. The second is the topics that the media discuss in relation to candidates. For example, research from Aaron Tolley at the University of Toronto finds that the media coverage of politicians of color discusses their views on minority issues such as multiculturalism or immigration disproportionately to their actual statements on these topics. My data are national and local news articles published during the 2019 Canadian federal election period that mention any candidate from a major party. This is over 3,000 articles, so I'll need the help of a computer to analyze the tone and topics. For tone, I use automated sentiment analysis, where I take the context in which candidates are mentioned and compare the words to a pre-existing dictionary of positive and negative terms. Then I use topic modeling, asking the computer to extract the topics from the text based on what words occur with each other and how often they do. I'll use these measures to compare the coverage of women of color, men of color, white women, and white men candidates. I plan to also analyze the coverage of the few openly non-binary and two-spirit candidates, but won't compare this to the others as it's such a small group. I'll also take a small random sample of articles and read them manually to analyze the framing of candidates, meaning what stereotypes and narratives are present. I do this partially to validate the automated methods, but also to delve deeper into the stories the media tell us about candidates based on their race and gender. Identifying subtle yet impactful differences in the media coverage of political candidates lets us think more critically about the news we read. I hope my research is a further step in better understanding the role of bias in political news, leading us toward more equitable depictions of everyone in Canadian media. Thank you.